I decided to test the tensile strength of my nostril hairs this morning, and that got me thinking, how many trade rockets can we capture and fire at a single time without the game crashing? And then once we do fire it, where do they even actually go? Some users just say up into space and they disappear. Some people say that they even go all the way up to the space station. Is it actually true? Well, in today's video, we are going to find that out. But first, I have a quick message for you. I'm trying to reach a target, and I need your help. As you all know, and it's absolutely no secret, I've been offsetting the cost of my videos and production and editing via Patreon. This is what allows me to get videos out each and every single day for No Man's Sky, as well as some other content as well. Now, I am trying to reach a target of 100 Patreon backers. This would enable me to hire a full-time editor for the Professor Cynical channel, which then would be an absolute massive help to myself. It'll allow me to produce higher quality content that I can then in turn bring to you. Patreon starts as little as $3 a month, which directly goes into supporting the channel. If you are interested to learn more information about the Patreonage and what it entails, then you can click on the link in the video description down below where it says Patreon. It'll take you to the direct link to my Patreon page, and you can have a look at the tiers for yourself. But if you do go down that route today, I just want to say a massive thank you for your support. And I also want to take the time and say a massive thank you to everybody who has already gone to Patreon and supported the channel already. So once again, link in the video description down below if you are interested in supporting the channel further. But let's get back into today's video. Alright troops, so this is what we need to do first of all. We need to place down a trade rocket. This is going to tell us some vital information. First of all, where does the rocket actually land? Which trajectory does it take when it comes down in land? And then, when we load it up with something and we fire it off, which direction and orientation does it go? And how small or how wide is the arc from liftoff? This is going to then allow us to build some sort of capturing shroud to put around the actual rocket. This then will let us capture as many of them as possible and hopefully not completely break the game. So I'm going to probably build this out of timber frames, and that will then be modular, so I can tweak the design as we kind of go along. Hopefully it works first time, but knowing my luck, it's going to take many revisions to get this perfect. So let's just start building a little bit of something and see where we kind of get to. Okay, so I've just built something very simple. It's just a small shroud where it will go ahead, land, and I had to delete one side of it because it kept on getting caught by the actual fence. So it means I'm going to have to leave that open. So the shroud that I'm going to have to build will then be attached onto this. So then when I fire it back off, it will then be captured in another place. I hope that makes sense. Alright, so as you can see, I've got it to where it's being captured on the ledge here on the side. However, it is slowly creeping out of that position. That's just because I don't have a roof on that angle. But what I do need to do is try and extend this kind of corner outwards just a little bit, build it a little bit higher, and then attach some sort of roof, which will then stop the rocket from obviously flying off into space. So it's going to look something like this. However, I don't feel this building will allow us to hold 100 rockets. Maybe at maximum I might be able to hold about 20 rockets with this design. So we'll have to go out a little bit further as time goes on. However, as you can see, nice and easy, we'll load up the rocket. We'll then go ahead and be able to place one down as soon as it fires off, and then another one can come ahead and land. That's the kind of general idea that I've got at the minute. It will take a small while to collect the amount of rockets I'm going to need for this experiment, but nonetheless, Mama didn't raise no quitter. So progress is coming along nice and steady. The game is lagging just a little bit. However, as you can see, I've got a shitload of rockets, and this shroud will not be able to hold anymore. There's probably about 30-40 in there, so I managed to get more than 20, which is what I originally anticipated. But we need to try and build another shroud around it, and I'm probably going to build it out of these glass walls so I can actually see what the heck is going on the inside. Now, with my ideal target to be about 100, that's what I've kind of thought that the game might be able to handle. So I need to build a shroud that's going to be big enough to hold that many. So how are we going to be able to get the rockets now without firing themselves or glitching themselves through anything and then fire off into space? So I need to try and be as elegant as a goose in order to transfer the rockets from one place to the next. May God have mercy on my soul. Alright, the moment of truth. Here we go. We're gonna just get rid of these little ledges. Hopefully now that will start the transfer over and nothing glitches through. And perfect. Perfect. So I thought I had a bit more than that. Maybe I've still only got about 20 rockets in there, maybe 30, but still, they've moved from one side to the other, which is exactly what I was looking for. So now we can continue with spamming this entire enclosure full of rockets. Progress is being made. I've opened up the original shroud that I built, which allows me to essentially fire rockets from 2 positions. This is incredibly important because it allows me to cut down the call time dramatically in order to fill this massive goddamn glass enclosure full of trade rockets. So you can see literally one comes down, they land, I can go ahead and fire the next, and it's just literally rinse and repeat. So at this moment in time, I am nearing around my 100 rocket target, as you can see by the absolute amount of rockets that are in there. However, I've noticed that the game is starting to become extremely slowed down, and it's glitching, and even the pathfinding algorithm that these trade rockets are using are absolutely struggling now to essentially find an easy direct place from going from one to the other. So I've had to actually delete more of the shroud in order for the rockets to be able to fire. But I'm probably going to have to start thinking about calling the rockets from being called down anymore, because I really do suspect that the game is going to crash at some point. How long that's going to take from this point, I don't know. I don't know how much further I can physically push the game engine, but for every single subsequential rocket now that I'm calling in, this lag is getting worse and worse. Oh no. Oh no. I think it's happened. Yeah, the game's crashed. So after that setback, unfortunately what happens is whenever you log out the game, or in my case, you were forced out the game via a crash, the rockets will in fact disappear. So it means I've got a lot of work to do to get back to where I was. However, with the way that I've got this now down, you can see just how quick I'm able to call rockets in, fire them off. It shouldn't take me too long to get back to where I was. So give me 2 seconds and we'll get back to exactly where we originally was before the crash. Alright, so after some more grueling time, I managed to get back to exactly where I was, and the sim speed of this game right now is absolutely at its limit. I don't push it any further. So we're just going to go ahead and start deleting these boxes, but as you can see, I've got a heck of a lot of rockets, and we are going to be firing them into space. So here we go. Alright, I need to be quick. I need to be very, very quick so they all kind of group up together as much as possible, and then jump into our ball of death spacecraft in order to try and follow them. But wow, look at that. It's absolutely majestic, firing all these rockets at once. But that's not just the end of the spectacle, guys. We are going to be following these and seeing just how far they really do truly go into space. Let me know in the comment section down below, do you think they'll make it all the way to the space station, or do you think at some point that they'll just disappear and that's them? So here we go. We are following these rockets, and at first I thought, oh, they ain't going any further and that's them, but wow, Look at how many of these girls are flying. Holy smokes, this is impressive. Wow. Absolutely amazing. Now, they literally just look like absolute beasts flying through the air. I'm trying to get as close as I can because I don't know what's going to happen if one of them was to impact my ship, even with this ship being a god tier, because this is completely uncharted territory, especially even for me. I don't know if one of these rockets collide on my ship, whether or not it will destroy it. So I'm trying to keep some sort of a safe distance, but you can see these rockets are fully animated and they are indeed flying off into space. Alright, and we are officially out of the atmosphere. All rockets are current and present, and they are on a trajectory course to the space station. You can see my little ship there. All the rockets flying above my head. It looks absolutely spectacular, especially when you kind of get in front of them just a little bit, go underneath, and then you watch all of these rockets just kind of like fire. Whoa! Okay, so at least now we know we're not going to get destroyed by them if they hit your ship, which is always a good point. But yeah, it's absolute amazing. I've never seen anything like this in No Man's Sky before, but look at that. All these rockets are just absolutely firing right past you. And you kind of think that, you know, there's not as many going forward, and then there's a massive gap, and then all of a sudden the rest of them just kind of like start coming up from behind. It's honestly something to be seen. It's such a good sight. So far so good, guys. We are about a quarter of the way there, and the rockets are still true and on course. Nothing has de-rendered. All rockets are current and present, which is absolutely amazing. You can see them all just start flying absolute past me at full speed. Absolutely amazing. You can see the massive train of rockets. Awesome stuff. When everything was going so flawlessly, disaster struck. I wasn't recording at the time. I was just following the rockets, and they hit an asteroid field and they all scattered. I spent another 15 minutes in space trying to find the rockets. Now, because of the speed of my ship, sometimes I'm going in front of them. If I use my boost function, if I'm just flying normally, they'll kind of go, the rockets will kind of go past me. So I'm trying to match my speed to where I think they should be by now, and I can't see any of them. But because they did scatter and they kind of went such a wide angle, I couldn't actually find any of them once the collision happened. So the only thing I could think of was to not warp to the outlaw station in front of me, but just to keep on boosting towards it. As you can see, I'm even in my camera view trying to see if I can see anything, like just even one of them that I can follow, and unfortunately I could not see anything. Now, the problem is with space, once you lose something, because, you know, it's space, you have no idea which angle they're coming in at or anything. So it's literally trying to find a needle in a massive haystack. So the only thing I can think of is to pulse over to the space station and just kind of wait by it and see if anything comes by. At this point, I was at a total loss. I couldn't believe my unfounding luck. At this point, I thought all hope was lost. As you can see, this is taken from the actual video. I won't bore you with an entire hour of me just literally waiting by the outlaw station. I was just at an end. I didn't know where these things were. I didn't know they've already arrived at the space station. But then something miraculous happened. They actually started to arrive. And I actually couldn't believe it. This is actually me looking back on my AFK footage as I was camping here. Now, I did nearly dismiss this footage entirely because I thought it was just like some sort of visual anomaly. But when I looked at the footage back and I'm scrolling backwards and forwards, you can clearly see the trajectory of these rockets. They're in a nice straight line and they make a direct path towards the space station. So yeah, I'm honestly shocked that this actually worked, and it's proven that the myth is completely proven that once you fire a trade rocket from an actual planet they will in fact go to the space station. They'll travel all the way through space and they'll go and dock at the space station. Absolutely fantastic. That's just blew my mind. So there you have it, guys. I hope you've all enjoyed this video nonetheless, and as always, my name is Professor Cynical, and I'll catch you all again in the next one. Bye for now.